to murder that remained unsolved for 45 years. A young woman hunted, stalked, stabbed, and left for dead.
She said, "Oh, please, let me in. I've been followed."
It was a blood-curdling scream.
It made the hairs on the back of our neck stand up.
And the town where it happened was notoriously a sundown town.
The meaning of a sundown town is that it's all white on purpose, that black folks cannot live there.
It used to be a sign says, "No are allowed in this town after dark."
Chilling, to say the least.
Wow, very intriguing show there. Well, he's made a career out of trying to bring justice to unsolved or unlawful civil rights crimes.
And now he's given us an inside look into his world on the new investigation discovery show, The Injustice Files. Keith Beauchamp, welcome to Arise 360. A sundown town. I had never heard that term before. My goodness.
It's oh man, it's amazing the information that you learn when you're dealing with civil rights issues and injustices in this country. And sundown towns were towns where African Americans were not allowed to be in after dark or even live within the community. And it was, you know, I would have to say growing up, I heard about these towns throughout the South because I grew up in the Deep South, but never knew that this was a northern phenomenon. And so in the show, the clip that you just saw, I teamed up with Dr. James Loring, who is the foremost authority of sundown towns in America. And we go out and do this great American road trip, I call it, to see if these towns still exist.
Wow.
And unfortunately, they do.
They do?
They do.
Wow, and the bad part about some of these towns is those same people that can't be there after sundown also work in those towns, take care of the places in those towns.
Exactly, exactly. And that's why it's a northern phenomenon, because if you look at the history of African Americans throughout the South, and if you think about slavery within itself, during those days, you needed your field hands to work in and day out, which is what they call it. But up north, you only needed your domestic workers for a certain period of time. And after that time was over with, which was normally like 6 o'clock in the evening, right? You had to leave out of that community. And so my objective was to prove Dr. James Loring wrong, because I could not even fathom that something like this could still exist in this country, in Obama's America, right? And
How is
unfortunately,
something like this still able to exist, though?
Well, these towns historically were sundown towns. Many of them still live by reputation. And unfortunately, this is so much under our radar, especially when you deal with civil rights in this country. A lot of us don't know the term sundown towns in America. A lot of us don't know that these towns were actually put in existence and protected by restrictive covenants and city laws. And so to go back and revisit these towns after all these times and see that they're on the rise again, because as we continue to deal with this atmosphere of policing that's going on in our communities, right? Or violence that is happening throughout the country, poverty that is happening, you have white flight. And so all these people are running back into those communities, which they consider to be safe havens, and they're on the rise again.
And I think that's what's important about your show, The Injustice Files, because you're bringing light to all these injustices that are being, you know, actually participated in still around the country. But you do more than just sundown towns. Tell us more about your show, because they call it a crime reality series. So what can we expect besides the sundown towns?
How did you come up with the concept for this show?
The concept from the show came from my early work. I was the filmmaker that was involved with getting the Emmett Till case reopened in 2004. And from
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
And from that experience and lining up, working with the FBI on that particular case, we start talking about all these other civil rights murder cases that we hope to revisit to see if they warrant new investigations and prosecutions. So the FBI launched in 2006 the Civil Rights Cold Case Initiative, and because I was already working closely with them with the Till investigation, they brought me in to work on these other cases. So we started off with a list of probably like 110 cases, 21 cases, which went down to 110. And what I did in return was produce these cases after I investigate them as documentaries in hopes of setting up a justice-seeking atmosphere that allow witnesses to feel comfortable coming forward.
And is that the goal of this project for you?
Well, The Injustice Files is an extension of my overall work. It's my 3rd television series, actually, and I'm on my 5th season. But sadly to say, I just went on hiatus with the show because we're now producing the feature film on the Emmett Till murder case, so I can spend more time on that.
And that film is called Till?
It's called Till, and we'll be going into principal shooting next spring in 2016. I'm producing the film with Whoopi Goldberg and Fred Zolo, who produced Mississippi Burning and Ghost of Mississippi. We also have Susan Rose, Paul Kurter, and Thomas Levine. And so my life is coming full circle. I started off with Till and was able to continue to, as an unintentional filmmaker, to bring justice and closure to some of these families who lost their loved ones throughout the civil rights era. And of course, the Injustice Files is an extension of that work.
And now that you're doing the Till movie, I mean, you've been working on this case for more than 2 decades. Will you ever close that file?
I don't think, because
it's your life's work, isn't it?
It's my life's work, and as I say, Shannon, the Emmett Till case, I was an unintentional filmmaker who was thrown into using filmmaking to get justice for Till, a closure, or to tell his story. And because it made me, I'm always going to do this type of work, especially I was able to see the fruits of my labor getting the case reopened and saw the change that had happened throughout the communities across the country. You had the Till bill passed after Civil Rights Cold Case Initiative that was put in existence to find and help a lot of these other cases. And so there's this continuous fight to have another Till bill. And I think this is, it's me. This is what I'm going to work on for the rest of my life. As long as I have the breath of life and the tools of filmmaking, I'm going to continue to tell our stories and hopefully get justice for these families.
Mr. Beauchamp, you're a hero, and thank you for doing the work. Thank you so much.
And when
thank
Till
you for
comes
being
out,
here.
please come back when Till comes out.
Absolutely.
You promise?
Thank you, I
Right.
promise.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back with more Rise 360.